everybody. I'm Journo Jess. Today I'm here to speak with Cari Reed, who is actually in the process of recovering from the coronavirus. Between isolation and then actually coming down with the virus, Cari and her family have had quite the battle these past couple months. Today I want to hear about what Cari and her family have been going through and how she is doing today. Hi Cari, how are you doing today?
Hey Jess, nice to see you.
Yeah. Well, I know it's been kind of rough for you lately, but first off, I just kind of want to know what you've been going through, like when you started coming down with the symptoms that you came down with.
Yeah, so that
you decide that you had to go to the hospital.
Oh, well, it was a long road. So October 30th was a Friday, and that day I worked out and did my normal activities, and it had been a long week at work. And Friday evening, I started to feel a little run down and a slight sore throat. And I thought, well, this is just the week catching up with me. So I went to bed early. Again, wasn't feeling too bad Friday night, but by the time I woke up Saturday morning, I knew that I was most certainly very, very sick. Extremely fatigued, a terrible headache, like the worst you can imagine. I've never had migraines, but I'm assuming that's what it feels like. What I had was what one might feel like. I had really deep in my bones aching, not just your normal, I feel kind of crummy and achy because I have a cold, like deep, like bone pain in my joints. Very nauseous, and that sore throat was still very much there. So being in healthcare, I knew these were classic symptoms. I did not have a fever. And in fact, the entire time I was ill, I never had a fever. I also never had the loss of taste or smell, but many of the other symptoms, as I just shared. So of course, Saturday morning, I knew immediately that I needed to isolate myself from my husband. My husband is about 1.5 years out from having an organ transplant, and he is on immunosuppressants. I am also immune compromised with my own red blood cell mast cell disorder. So I knew immediately to just stay in my room and started calling my physicians. And so my doctor recommended to wait 3 days from the start of symptoms to make sure that we didn't get a false positive on the test. I then did that, stayed in my room, got myself up, drove to the testing center, which was an outdoor facility. And they did two tests, nasal swab. They did the rapid test, which is got about a 96% effective rate, they say. And then the PCR send out test, which is even higher accuracy rate. About 2 hours later, my doctor called me and told me that the rapid test came back positive, which I pretty much already knew, and just recommended that I continue to monitor my symptoms. By that point, I had started to feel a tightness in my chest, but I wasn't having terrible difficulty breathing. It felt just like if you've had a really bad chest cold. And then 2 days after that, the PCR test came back and said it was negative, but it was very obvious that I was quite ill. I had to spend 10 days in bed. The fatigue had come by that point, and I was I've never felt as ill in my life as I was. And in addition to just the fatigue, very nauseated, really, again, those bad body aches. And as fatigued as I was also having trouble. I was very restless. I was having trouble actually getting rest and falling asleep. So that went on for about 10 days with my husband leaving a food tray at the door, and he would wear a mask, and I would crawl over the door, often just eating, sitting on the floor and leaving the tray and then getting back in bed. So in most days I was way too weak or dizzy to stand in the shower even. Around the 11 or 12 day mark, I was able to get up out of bed, brush my teeth, comb my hair, sit in a chair, watch some Netflix. And that went on until about day 19. And somewhere around day 12, the sore throat went away and the headaches went away and the body aches went away, but I was still feeling extremely fatigued. I still had the GI upset with, my belly not feeling right. I would say that somewhere around the 12 to 14 day mark is where, when I was actually getting up and getting into the chair and stuff, the headaches and the sore throat had went away, and that gave me some relief, and the body aches had lessened, and I was actually able to get some sleep. But I still had a terrible cough, and I still had, just really bad, upset stomach, nausea, just not feeling right at all. You've probably heard folks who've been through coronavirus talk about having brain fog, and that is very much the case. It's very difficult to concentrate on things, and I kind of chalk it up to that being fatigued. Just even watching TV, I would like space out, just something as passive as that. I had friends who sent me books and other things to do while I was, hiding away in my room. I just had no ability to really concentrate on things. I was feeling that badly. And then finally, things started to get better closer to day 19. And, I had been checking in with doctors just about every other day. There was a point, probably around day 8 or 9, where I was feeling so terrible, and the tightness in my chest was so bad that I was debating whether or not I needed to go to the hospital. It's a terribly scary thing to not be able to catch your breath when you're, laying down, like you're not even exercising. We've all been winded and, exercise and you're huffing and puffing, but when you're just kind of being still and you're having that feeling, it's pretty scary. Yeah. And it wasn't until, so day 19, just kind of following the timeline, day 19, that's when we started talking to my doctor about when it would be safe for me to come out of my room. There is, I certainly underestimated the impact of being isolated, just mentally and emotionally. And when you're not feeling well, you want to be close to your loved ones. And the most dangerous thing I could have done at that point was be around my husband or my child, right? Especially with my husband being compromised. So I had to just rough it out alone, which is really hard. It really is. And I'm a pretty strong lady, and I was struggling. I just wanted a hug, and you used to have to kind of go through it. And, as I laid there and kind of stared at the ceiling, I thought about how many other people were going through that, and how many other people were in hospital beds where they couldn't breathe for themselves, and how scary that would be. And, but I got through that weekend, and like I said, fast forward day 19, things started to feel a little bit better. So we talked to my physicians about what the right next steps would be. And if it was safe for me to be around my family. At that point, I only had the GI upset and a little bit of some residual coughing, and I was feeling still fatigued. So we waited, I think, 2 more days after that before I emerged from my bedroom. And the very first thing I did was hug my husband and then walk outside. We have a porch area that's on the second floor of our house. And I just walked outside to stand outside in the sunshine. And it felt amazing. Really just amazing. The fresh air was amazing. And I had been talking to coworkers who are clinicians, and they said, just if you can just get out and get some fresh air, that'll just even lift your spirits. And it was just, the sun on my face was very, very healing.